Joining me right now is a member of Senate leadership, Senate Republican Conference Chairman John Barrasso. Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here. I know that you're focused on Herschel Walker's potential victory in Georgia, but Herschel Walker was not able to vote for McConnell or not for McConnell. Why did you keep the leadership elections in place despite many people within the Senate, Republicans, saying, let's wait until after the Georgia runoff to have these elections?
Well, first, the good news is that the Republicans have taken the House of Representatives. We have derailed this runaway freight train of the Democrats' reckless spending. We will now be able to hold this administration accountable and focus on the spending. And our focus is all on getting Herschel Walker elected. TeamHerschel.com is the place to go for anybody that wants to find out how to help. In terms of the Senate election, you're right. We had a very productive and positive discussion among all of the members about how every member can be more involved in the decisions of the conference. And I supported all of that. But by 2-1, the senators voted and said, look, let's get this behind us. We need to focus on Herschel and getting him elected. People know the strengths and the weaknesses of both of the candidates, Senator McConnell and Senator Rick Scott. 37-10, people validated Mitch McConnell's leadership because of his strategic abilities, his ability to raise money, and specifically a lot was thought about how we were able to hold the Scalia seat open on the Supreme Court for 9 months and yet fill the Ruth Bader Ginsburg seat in just 7 weeks, establishing a conservative firewall on the Supreme Court for the next 25 years.
Okay, I want to ask you about inflation, economy, jobs, a lot of dire predictions about the economy in 2023. What are you going to do about it? Can you actually stop the reckless spending? We're talking with Senator John Barrasso. Quick break and more when we come back. Welcome back, and I am back with Senate Republican Conference Chairman John Barrasso. Senator, I want to get your take on the nuts and bolts of the economy. This was the #1 issue for voters in the midterm elections, and I'd like to know what you're going to do about it. We just heard from James Comer, who said that he found evidence that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden were involved in a scheme to try to get China to buy liquefied natural gas. People are outraged over China buying farmland in the Dakotas, and now we actually have evidence that they wanted to buy into natural gas companies. Meanwhile, this administration is pushing this climate change agenda to try to wean Americans off of fossil fuels. Can you explain that?
Well, number one, it is the spending, and what the inflation that we're seeing now is caused by the spending. And when you look at this race in Georgia, Herschel Walker is against all of this excessive spending, but his opponent has voted for all of these spending bills. He's been a rubber stamp for Joe Biden. You've been talking about inflation, and specifically with Thanksgiving coming, and I know you've been focused on that. Look, all of these prices are way up, and it's because of the spending coming out of Washington. In terms of the energy you're talking about, people want affordable energy. And the thing that's most disturbing to me, Maria, is what's happening right now with regard to China and the U.S. China is eating our lunch at the climate conference in Egypt, and they're not even there. John Kerry is there trying to give away the store. There's already a UN climate fund that China can feed at, and we put money into. And now, astonishingly, they want to set up a climate reparations program where other countries can get money paid for by the UN and the United States. That's where they're heading. Where I'm heading, Maria, is to the South China Sea on Tuesday to visit with Wyoming men and women, Marines, airmen who are there based a long way from home, to thank them for what they're doing, and also to talk to our men and women in the field as well as the leaders about what they're seeing on the ground in relationship to China.
Well, that is terrific that you're going to the China South Seas. I mean, this is another issue there. They said they weren't going to militarize that region, and yet they did. But in terms of the energy policy, Wyoming is an energy state. Are you going to be able to get the business back up again? This administration continues to say that it's the oil company's fault instead of their own policy.
It's the policies of this administration. The good news is, with Republicans in charge of the House, we can stop any additional taxes on oil and gas. But the energy is what's part of the driving of the inflation.
Yeah.
Diesel prices in Wyoming today are $2 a barrel higher than regular gasoline.
Okay.
I was at the Wyoming Farm Bureau meeting. That is the big issue. It's driving the cost
John,
for production of food and will add to inflation.
John Barrasso joining us. Senator, thank you.